up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone's having a great day. I want to apologize in advance for how I sound right now. I've got a bit of a cold. That's why I haven't done a lot of, it's part of why this video is late. So I filmed this video once on the Mustang Mach E when that first was announced, but another car has entered entered the world here, and that being the Tesla Cybertruck. And I feel like I was going to do a video on the Mach E. I can't leave out the more controversial one, because I feel like right now the Cybertruck is more controversial than the Mustang Mach E right now. And this video is going to be kind of just covering my opinions on both. A lot of you guys know my opinion on EVs. I'm not a crazy electric vehicle guy. I'm all about the internal combustion engine. I'm an enthusiast, so I like sound, I like the feel, I like the more connection with the machine. Electric cars, in my opinion, are kind of soulless. They don't have the same driving experience as a gas car. Obviously, they have instant torque, which is really awesome. You can put your foot down, you're making max torque all the time. But I don't know, I just prefer the feel of a combustion engine, which is why I'm not like crazy about electric vehicles. But I feel like as an enthusiast, I would like to talk about these, give my take on them, because while I wouldn't say I would own an EV, I do respect those that do. They're obviously, trying to help the environment, all that stuff. And stuff of that nature. So I feel like that I should be able to comment on them as from an enthusiast standpoint. So that's kind of where I am. So let's start off with the less controversial one, the one that's it's had its shock value. That is the Mustang Mach E. A lot of people are probably expecting me to dog this car to the core, but in all honesty, minus the name and the rear end of the car and probably the interior. I'm not crazy with the interior either. I don't have that many negative things with the car. I actually kind of like the design. The name, the rear end, and the interior are like my three biggest gripes. So I guess I'll start off with that, because you guys probably don't care about what I have to say that I like with the car. The majority of this world hates the car, and they only want to hear their opinions. So that's why I'm only going to, that's why I'm starting off with the stuff I hate. So, the name. In my opinion, the Mustang should never be put out of the sports car coupe segment. If the name is going to be used, it needs to be on a coupe, on a car in the same field as the Mustang. Something, for example, like the electric Mustang that was at SEMA. That's a Mustang. The Mustang Mach E is not a Mustang. That is an SUV. I'm annoyed by the fact they chose that name. In my opinion, it goes against the Mustang as a whole. I get, obviously, Ford is wanting to move that Mustang nameplate and give their new electric crossover some sort of brand recognition, so they can be like, yeah, you still want a car that's called a Mustang, but you want something that's electric and a crossover, so you can fit your whole family in it comfortably, unlike in a normal Mustang, where if you sit in the back seat and you're over 4'8", you're crushed. So I get the point of why Ford's done it. It's all about marketing for them. They want that brand recognition. People are like, yeah, it's a Mustang. I can carry my whole family in and be nice to the environment. All that jazz. And that's why I get it, but I don't like it. For an enthusiast standpoint, for a fan of the Mustang, in my opinion, it's probably one of like a slap in the face to the name. So I just don't like the fact that they named it the Mustang. That's probably my biggest gripe with it. Minus obviously the other two things I mentioned. So at the back end, but when it comes to the front and the side styling, how the roof line is done, how the front end looks, I don't find it necessarily ugly. Especially the GT trim, where it gets the silver, the like anodized silver kind of look it looks like on the front, versus having the paint match front end where the grille would be. I prefer the kind of like anodized silver look on the GT trim. So I won't say the front end's ugly. The side profile is undeniably a Mustang inspired like look, but the back end they really butchered. It's got this very aggressive like boxy kind of look to it. The taillights, the way they integrated the tri-bar into it just looks awful. And I'm a sucker for the Euro style taillights in the S550, but that just does not look good to me. And like I said, besides that, the name and the interior, there's like I guess you could say it's very small hates for the car. Besides that, I find the concept interesting. The numbers don't lie. It's going to be a fast car for what it is, for a heavy SUV. I mean, on the GT trim, it's getting somewhere close to 3 seconds 0 to 60, which is faster than not only my truck, but I think it's even borderlining against Michael's Charger in terms of 0 to 60 times. So that's impressive. So I will give Ford, the nod on that one. They're defying logic, they're defying physics a little bit here, making a car that's presumably going to weigh over 4,000 pounds, but have that kind of 0 to 60 time. So I'm impressed, but by the number standpoint, but the name the name choice, the interior, which is just really basic. It's my biggest qualm with the Model 3 and the other car I'm going to talk about here in a minute. The interior is just a steering wheel and a big screen in the middle, and I didn't see any sort of gauge cluster or anything that you can use to look ahead while you're driving instead of having to, be doing this maneuver here and looking down at your screen to see how fast you're going. So in my opinion, that's a dumb decision. Hopefully, I can't confirm it off the top of my head, but I don't think Ford has any sort of display for the front. And like I said, it's my biggest qualm with the Model 3. So yeah, the interior sucks. I'm not crazy about it. Plus, the steering wheel just isn't really Mustang. When I thought of if they were going to be trying to make some sort of Mustang SUV, when the Mach-E was first announced, I hadn't seen the interior pics. I kind of expected it to have the same steering wheel as the S550. And seeing it had more of an Explorer-based steering wheel, it's just like, that's not right. So, in my opinion, besides the fastback styling and the name, there's not really a whole lot to harken to the Mustang, which is probably my biggest problem with the Mach-E, is that they call it a Mustang, but it's nothing like the coupe. So, that's kind of that. But all in all, the concept's cool. The front end and the side profile is great. The back end's ugly. The numbers are really good, and the price isn't too bad, to my knowledge. I don't remember off the top of my head. I know it wasn't like $100,000 or anything. But, I don't know. Maybe it's something I could look into one day if electric does become the future, which I hope it doesn't, because I'm a combustion guy. I'm very old school in that regard. But I don't know. Maybe I could consider it one day, but I can't really take it seriously with the Mustang nameplate. So we move on to the more controversial one, the most recent one, and by far the one that's the most shock value, the Tesla Cybertruck. Now, this is actually my second take today on this video, because I filmed an independent video on the Mach-E back on Wednesday that I planned on using for this video, because I could already tell on Wednesday I was getting sick, so I wanted to go ahead and get the video out. Have a video just in case I got really sick, but I've recovered enough to talk, obviously. And in the initial cut, I was very harsh on the Cybertruck, and I had some stuff that obviously I couldn't factually prove, because I hadn't seen the reveal, I hadn't seen the photos, minus the couple I've seen on Instagram. But now that I've actually looked into it more, because I wanted to have the best coverage of this truck as I could in the video as a truck owner. So the truck's huge, for one thing. It's a big truck. Snazzy Labs, I follow him on Instagram. He's a tech YouTuber, or he does a lot of like Mac stuff, which is partially why I follow him, because I own 2 Macs, and I mean it's kind of overkill, but I like knowing what I'm getting into with these things. He's getting one, as well as just a 6, which really surprised me. I did not expect him to be getting one. But they're huge, and he covered and Snazzy Labs covered on a Twitter post that his wingspan's about 6'6", and he had his arms completely stretched out apart, and they were not long enough to cover the bed. It's got a bigger bed than the F-150, the Silverado, and the Ram, and all that junk, which is impressive. That's a huge bed for a truck like that. The interior was again very similar to the Mach-E. Something I don't really like is too basic. I do like the steering wheel, though. It's just, a lot of people probably one of their bigger points they don't like, but they're calling it the Cybertruck. They're giving it this futuristic look to it. And it's got this like Star Wars style steering wheel. It's just 2 grips and a bar between them, and that's your steering wheel, which I find interesting. I'm wondering how that concept's going to work. I'm not crazy about the Cybertruck. I will say that I do get that you could easily draw it on a whiteboard in 15 seconds, as Engineering Explained said on Instagram. But I'm not completely against the idea. Having a fully electric truck, it's the first of its kind. First off. With Rivian, I think, is another company that's working on making one, and I'm curious to see what other companies do now. If we'll get like a truck version of the Mach-E or something like that because of this. Because I know Ford is targeting Tesla's Model X with the Mach-E. But would I ever buy one? No. Because I'm still not fond of the styling. The styling, I will admit, has grown on me since I first saw the pictures of it. At first, I was like, what in the world is that thing? And now it's like, it's okay. It's not the worst thing in the world. I've seen cars uglier. The Aztec and PT Cruiser come to mind here. But the Cybertruck is not, overly attractive either. If I had to pick between the Mach-E and the Cybertruck for styling, it would definitely be the Mach-E. By flying colors, I'd pick the Mach-E before I'd pick the Cybertruck in terms of styling. But the Cybertruck has this going for it, which is why I really wanted to talk about it, and why I'm not so against the truck yet. The numbers. I think they said it gets like high 2 seconds 0 to 60, which is insane in a vehicle that big. It runs a 10-second quarter mile out of the box, and it can also haul your stuff. I mean, you could have a 10-second truck and still be able to haul a boat or something else in there on like the back of it and tow stuff with it. Sure, it doesn't look the greatest, but it is fast, and you cannot deny Tesla has been like the kings of making fast electric cars, and they've really overdone it with the Cybertruck. And I feel like that's part of why Itch66 has bought one. I feel like he wanted a truck that was fast, and that's probably pertains to like his biggest motivation to why he wanted the Cybertruck. So I don't blame him on that one. It's insanely fast, so I'm very impressed that Tesla was able to pull it off in a vehicle that big. Sure, there are like little things that are like, I don't necessarily like the styling very much. Like I said, it's too futuristic. They're trying too hard. And the lack of mirrors is kind of an issue. I don't know how you're supposed to see what's off to your side without mirrors. So we'll see how that works out. I'm not really a fan of the styling per se, but the numbers are impressive, and obviously it makes the decision hard if you're to be looking at these two. If you're in the market for an electric vehicle right now, you've got the Cybertruck and the Mach-E. It's a very difficult decision because you want, to say you have a Mustang, or do you want to have one of the fastest and most practical vehicles in the electric business right now with the Tesla Cybertruck. So I don't know. Honestly, in my opinion, it'd be a hard decision to pick between the two because while the Cybertruck has more practicality and is faster, the Mach-E looks considerably better. Obviously, if you're buying a Mustang, in my opinion, you aren't looking for the Mach-E unless you're really wanting that electric crossover. If you really need something that's electric and can carry your family. But for people like me who are into sports cars, when we think of Mustangs, we think of this. So, fastback 2-door coupe with a V8. Or V6 or 4-cylinder turbo, whatever you're into. So, in my opinion, do I like these cars? Kind of. I wouldn't say they're definite, must-haves for me, but there is a market for them. I have no doubt they're going to sell, and in my opinion, the Cybertruck's one of the YouTubers' wet dream. Everyone's going to want to get one to hype up Tesla and to be, the first to have them on YouTube and do YouTube videos with them. I'm not one of them, so don't expect that out of me. I'm not impressed by it enough to really buy one, and plus I don't have the means to do so. I don't have the money. But would I ever consider one? If I was in the market for a brand new car, would I consider them? I mean, they would be on the list, but they would be very low. So I wouldn't really, if I was spending 40 grand on a brand new car, 0 miles, I'd be looking for a cheap Mark V. I know no one's selling them for 40 yet, but maybe, who knows, some dealer sales might be going on soon or something like that if I were to buy a car for 40. Obviously, Mark V, if you're paying complete MSRP, is out of the equation here. But it would be kind of low on the list because while they are stupid fast and they have so many cool aspects to them, they aren't necessarily something I'm looking for. Obviously, you guys know I'm a combustion guy, so if I were buying a truck, I'd be between the Silverado and the F-150. But yeah, that's kind of that right now. So that's my opinions on the Mach-E and the Cybertruck. I don't necessarily hate them, but I don't necessarily love them either. They have cool aspects like their speed, but they also have bad aspects like the naming of the Mach-E and the styling of the Cybertruck. So yeah, would you own one? Do you like the Cybertruck and Mach-E? Do you hate one or the other? Which one would you buy if you had to choose? Let me know in the comments below. Hope you all enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys on Monday. Hopefully I'll be healthy enough to actually shoot a proper video. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.